This podcast is brought to you by NordVPN, and as you can see, I'm here in a hotel room. I'm away in Las Vegas, Nevada, but I am protected. All thanks to NordVPN. The hotel Wi-Fi, great. Thank you so much, Results World, but I want to be safe, so I'm using NordVPN. When I am away, I like to stay in touch with everything happening back home, which is now Australia, but also England as well, and I get to use all the apps, all the streaming services with one click of a button. In fact, no, I don't even need to click. It is on 24/7, 365 for me, NordVPN, because I don't want to worry about any of those people that are trying to get my sensitive information, my password, my login, my banking details. As we all know, our lives are on our phone now. So why not protect it with NordVPN? I often wish I could be in two places at once, Sydney, Liverpool, but I can't be. But I can be with NordVPN. I get to switch my location at the click of a button, which gives me advantages to be in two places at once. We all know we've got that overseas friend. Have you seen that show? Can't get it. Well, yes, you can. If you've got NordVPN, you can hide your location, change your location, and watch all the shows that those overseas friends get to enjoy that you don't. So to get the very best deal from NordVPN, head to nordvpn.com/James Graham, where you get 4 free months with a 2-year plan and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Click on the link in the show notes.
I always get this wrong, don't I? It's the Fan Roundtable. 2 rounds. The Fan Roundtable.
Fan round. That is tough.
It's called the Fan Roundtable. Everyone fucking knows it's the buy round. Like it says the buy round when you click on the podcast. You know, who the fuck can start any podcast anyway?
It's a bit
No, if you don't start it well, people will turn
Friday feedback.
off. People will turn off.
Start the fucking podcast.
Bing Rook infringement. Hello and welcome everybody to the Buy Round Fan Roundtable. We are joined by a couple of legends, which I'll introduce very shortly. But if you haven't already, please look at the Patreon. Sign up for that if you want more content like this. We've got a drop on a Monday and a Friday, and also coming very soon, the Buy Round top 99 players in the game, all thanks to Maccas, and all-time NRL top 99 as well. But let's get in to the Fan Round Table. We're joined by Cowboys representative, the random stats guy, Nathan Corbett, Manly diehard, Tommy Tobler. And it's a bit like the naughty kid that just wants attention, cries, you know, they're kicking the toys at the pram. Warriors fan, Joel Harrison.
Mate, thank you for having me on.
What an intro.
It's just great that the Warriors are getting mentioned in the buy round. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, you've complained, you've kicked off, you've thrown your tantrum. There's 2 clubs in the spotlight for potentially negative reasons, starting the season 0-2 at time of recording. We're Friday. We had the Dogs v the Raiders yesterday evening. But the Warriors, what a start to the season, especially when you consider no Metcalf, no Barnett.
Also, yeah, I was just saying to Charlie before, no Capewell, no Chance Little Clockstad, Chanel Harris Tavita, potentially Adam Pompey as well. So that's 6 of the 13 starters that you would have had missing from this week. And it's been a pretty good start. Pretty happy so far.
Joel, what are you doing the first weekend in October?
Mate, I've got 25 Kiwis sleeping in my my little apartment in Redfern, and we're charging in. I think it could be our year this year.
Yeah. On a serious note, the Warriors, that they are doing so well. Such a positive start against tough opposition. Despite being at home, obviously Roosters a top 8 side last year. Last year's minor premiers, the Canberra Raiders. You come to Newcastle this week as heavy favourites. Is it just about riding this wave now and keeping on improving?
Mate, I think it is. Like, realistically, I mean, I am a diehard Warriors fan, but I'm also a bit of a realist. And at the start of the season, if you had asked me Raiders and Roosters, like you would have thought we'd be heading to Newcastle 0-2. But it's been an awesome start. And like I'm just so happy with obviously what Andrew Webster's done in New Zealand. Like, he's installing confidence into these players. You've got players like Jackson Ford and Tanner Boyd just playing out of their skin. And I mean, in the last couple of years, they haven't been amazing players. So these new players and a young gun of string of players like Leka Halasima and Dimitri Vaimwanga, they're all coming through. So it's it's positive signs to be a Warriors fan at the moment, and I'm just happy and just riding the wave and taking every game as it comes.
So Joel, obviously you grew up here in Australia, spent all your life here. How did you become a Warriors fan? And how did you get the Kiwi accent?
Dialect coach.
Look, I've only been in Sydney, Australia for 1 year, so I spent my first 24, 25 years in New Zealand, living in Auckland, and just trying to build the rugby league brand, because it is such a tough market in New Zealand, coming up against rugby union. And I do feel like in the last 5 years, like the tides really are turning. Like what the whole up the wires movement and stuff in New Zealand, and just the excitement of probably the whole rugby league game itself, like in NRL, because Super Rugby at the moment it's not the greatest product. I know in Australia, like you can't even find a pub to watch it in Australia, and in New Zealand it's almost heading that way as well. Like the turnout and the supporting for the Warriors and just rugby league in general is amazing in New Zealand at the moment. But it's I'm happy to be here flying the flag in Australia.
Well, I'll fast forward to a little bit on the rundown. Obviously, Perth Bears into the competition, the PNG Chiefs into the competition. It looks as if it won't be that long until we get a 20th team. Is the one thing missing from the Wars a country rival, like a big rival? We look at Manly and their rivalry with teams like Newcastle and a lot of teams up against Parramatta, another side. The rivalry there is real. Melbourne, the Cowboys, obviously that original Queensland derby. We've got that rivalry there, and it produces great games. Is that the thing that's missing to the final piece of the puzzle for New Zealand? Is a second side over across the ditch?
Well, like I think it is, and there's a big movement in the South Island at the moment as well. Like Christchurch people, they absolutely hate Aucklanders, and obviously Auckland is where the Warriors are based. Like there's a big South and North Island rivalry, mainly the South Island just hating the North Islanders. So that would be great, and they've just built a new stadium down in Christchurch as well. It's got a new roof. I think it's opening in a couple of weeks' time. So there'd be a 25,000 person stadium. So they've got the facilities. It's like the only problem is, I mean, as a Warriors fan, you've seen with Mitch Barnett recently, Dylan Walker and stuff, like it's just so hard to retain Australian and international players in New Zealand. So like if they don't want to live in Auckland, like realistically, would they want to live in Christchurch where half of the year it's 10 degrees or colder? I do think that's going to be a big factor into the New Zealand second team. Like
sounds perfect to me.
I mean, obviously there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent in New Zealand. A majority of the talent is probably from the North Island as well that are coming through in the league circles. But I do think with the second team in New Zealand, that's going to be a bit of a worry. That like, would they be able to sign enough players and competing against places like Perth and PNG with the tax-free money? I think it would be a bit of a struggle to set that in stone.
I feel like there's some sort of appetite there for Christchurch, though. I mean, we're playing you guys at that new one New Zealand stadium. That got sold out within 5 days. I couldn't get a ticket in time. The last 4 games in Christchurch have been sold out as well. So I feel like there's definitely an appetite for the fan base. And I think New Zealand, in terms of, rugby versus rugby league, like crossing over, you could definitely convert that talent pool. And if more players, young players, can come through the system, maybe a lot of things for the young players is to just get on TV, get in the bright lights, look really good. You can definitely drag a few players from Union over, and I think Peter V'landys, he loves winning the Code Wars.
Right, definitely. And like if Peter V'landys did sort of go in and set this team up in New Zealand, I'm sure he would do everything in his world possible to make sure this team is successful. And yeah, as I said, there's a lot of hatred from the South Islanders to the Aucklanders, so they'd get behind the team for sure.
And Christchurch, correct me if I'm wrong, is closer than PNG and Perth to like Sydney.
It is, yeah. Oh, well, to Auckland,
distance-wise,
mate,
it's a 3-hour flight.
It is 3-hour flight max, I'd say.
Yeah.
So, yeah, true. That's a pretty good point, and it's cheap housing and stuff in Christchurch as well, which is also a good factor. So,
you mentioned Mitch Barnett deciding to come back, and obviously that case in isolation for family reasons. But there does seem to be a trend there of players, Australian players, maybe going over to the Warriors as a way to extend their NRL career, performing really well, and then cutting short their time to come back to their home country in Australia. Do you think that is? And I know they benefited with James Fisher-Harris going the other way.
Yeah.
But is this something that the Warriors need to address?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not ideal, and obviously the situation with Mitch Barnett, it's a. You got to. He said he's got to be a father first, and you totally respect that. It is a shame when you're losing your captain and you're losing a player who's done so much good for this club. And I do feel like we as Warriors sort of helped progress his career. Like when he was playing at the Knights, he'd just come off that big suspension. I think it was 2022. Then he came 2023. Became a New South Wales representative, played for the Kangaroos. So I do feel like Andrew Webster and the Warriors have helped further his career, and it's a shame that he's had to cut his contract short. But I mean, Cameron George and Mark Robinson, the CEO and owner, they've come out and they said like we want to get a trade from whoever Barnett ended up with. I mean, like we sort of you almost laugh at the players that were thrown around in the suggestion, like. No disrespect to anyone, like they were throwing around Jesse Arthurs and Ben Takura.
All-Stars MVP, Jesse
100%,
Arthurs.
mate. Jesse Arthurs, he came over, he played on a loan year during COVID for the Warriors as well. He was awesome. Like he's obviously fallen
But he's
out
off
with the
contract,
system.
so
he is.
There's
not
no
really-
trade there.
I know.
He's a free agent.
He is, and there was that guy. The Warriors were keen on Antonio, someone. He was a young centre who hasn't even played in the NRL yet, and Broncos have come out and vetoed that sort of trade already. So it's like, I mean, they're not even wanting to give away, like a New South Wales and one of the best props in the game for a player who hasn't debuted. But I've now seen we're interested in someone like Grant Anderson, who's a good player, but I mean,
he's only just arrived.
he has, and it's like, I mean, once again, like no disrespect to Grant Anderson, but it's pitiful compared to someone like Mitch Barnett. So yeah, it's a tough situation, but I mean, we have benefited of players like James Fisher-Harris, and we've just signed Will Warbrick. So hopefully we can continue signing young Kiwis who are keen to come back as well. Like, yeah,
Is the worry Jackson Ford and Metcalf will follow suit?
I mean, Jackson Ford wasn't even really wanted at the Dragons, and the Warriors have given them this awesome opportunity, and he's delivered as well. And I mean, I'm sure the Warriors will be extending his contract and offering him big money after his first two performances this year. And then last year there was all these rumours whether Luke Metcalf is gonna. I mean, he had a baby last year, and he potentially wanted to come back, but he locked in. He penned in this deal. I think it's a 3-year contract as well. So I've got faith that that Luke Metcalf has a great relationship with the club. He's got a great relationship with Cam George, who's also an Australian. So, mate, I'm keeping the faith, and I do think that with someone like, with those Australian players like Metcalf, Jackson Ford, and even Tanner Boyd in the system, that we can sort of create something special.
And Metcalf was red hot last year. Like, he was on track to win the Dally M until he got injured.
He was.
Do you think there's an issue, maybe when they find that much success, they can get big money back in Australia? And so once they, like, reach those heights, they're like, all right, I'm going to go home and get more money from these other teams? Or do you think maybe, like, because they're doing so well over there, they just get so ingrained in the club and they don't want to leave?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see both sides of it as well. But like, Luke Metcalf, he's got a young family, a young wife who just had a kid. And obviously, I mean, I don't have any kids myself, but I can imagine growing up, you would want like the family support around you and the family network. But it is a 2.5-hour flight away. I mean, I think he's on a pretty handy contract, close to $1 million. The Warriors have offered him this money, and they've given him the support, and like they gave him the opportunity as well, and they've sort of backed him through injuries. So I mean, look, he seems like he's on board with the culture, and they even call him, I think, Luka Mikiafu, it's his Samoan name and stuff. So, mate, I've got good confidence that Luke Metcalf's going to bounce back and stay with the Warriors and create something well.
Well, that's enough Warriors chat here. Joel, you're free to go. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for joining us on the buy round.
It's only depressing from here, mate. You don't want to be part of it.
We'll recap the Warriors if they're playing in September. But other than that, we'll gloss over them. On a serious note, gents, 2 rounds, 1 game into the season. There seemed to be a bit of a change with this 6 again. The frequency that that they were given in the opening round did seem to affect the outcome of games, and we saw that Manly-Canberra game where there was mistakes involved from the Raiders as well, but the Manly had the ball for the first 12 minutes. We saw the Cowboys up against the West Tigers, which was the opening exchanges, like so many 6 agains. From a fan perspective, how have you found this season specifically with the interpretation of the 6 again, the frequency of them?
Well, it's still really early, but I think I'm still trying to almost recalibrate to this new version of the game. For example, that Manly Raiders game, the way I look at it is like a game of 4 quarters. Like Manly dominated that first quarter, then the Raiders dominated the second and third. Manly came back in the fourth, didn't get there in the end. But it's just proper momentum shifts to polar sides. And I was reading some stats earlier, like last year in round 1, the average 6 again call was 4 per game. And then round 1 this
per
year...
team or in the whole game?
I can't...
Probably
I think it was
per team.
per team.
Yeah. So each team receives on average...
It was like 4.6
Yeah.
in round 1 last year. And this year it was 10 per team in round 1. And I know every year when they bring in the new rules, it takes like a couple of rounds like for people to get used to it. But it just seems like it's going to be hard to arrest this proper shift in momentum. And we had Jamie Seibold on a live stream on Thursday night, and he was talking about like once you've got momentum, it's so hard to get it back, and even harder now with these new rules. And like in the Roosters-Cowboys game, I think the Roosters had 3 6 agains in like 60 seconds. And so it seems like when you're just out that 20, you get 1, and then 1 might bring 2, and 2 might bring 3 because you're so fatigued and you're just constantly defending on your line. So we're just going to see blowout scores. I think the way the game's played, we'll have to adapt to it. So I'm not completely off it by any means, but it is hard. And we did see Manly, for example, wrestle it back in that 4th hypothetical quarter of the game against the Raiders, but it's going to be hard to do so.
Nathan, you obviously the game against Wests was a difficult watch, and the referee. After about 10 minutes, Kyle O'Donnell was sent to the sin bin. I thought rather unfairly. It was for repeated infringements. I'm not against that, but it felt as if that was a knee-jerk reaction to some 6 agains from the Cowboys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going to the Tigers in any case is a bad watch, but this one in particular, a really tough one. I mean, I don't think I blame just the 6 agains. I think some of the defensive plays, like Adam Dewey's try, was ridiculous. How he got through Taumalolo and Griffin Neame through the middle, and Scotty Drinkwater didn't do much. I know he's got some injuries too, but we'll get to that later. I think in terms of 6 again wise, I kind of look at it, not to go against like the fan bias of it being annoying and ruining the game. You kind of look at where the 6 again start, and they're mainly first tackle, second tackle. That's probably about 70% of when the 6 agains are done. So you're not too sure if it's maybe a coach's tactic to get a 6 again, hold the players down for a little bit, get that air back in the lungs because they can afford to do 2 more tackles in a set. So that's definitely something that I think about. I think as well that it opens the game. We get games like Broncos-Eels where you're never too sure when you're in the lead, which is what keeps people on watching the game. They're like, we don't know what's going to happen. Like Manly, for instance, 28-14 down with 8 minutes to go.
Yeah.
People are watching that game because there could be a momentum shift any moment. Corey Horsburgh could blow his lid any moment, and that's what sort of happened, I guess.
Yeah.
Gingers,
yeah, I know.
Sorry.
Needs to be studied.
Just clip that out of just clip that, please. We don't criticise gingers on this show. So Tommy did.
Yeah, probably did it great. But I think, so from a fan's perspective that way, what I don't agree with, I think, is how they've extended the amount of when the ruck infringements begin, because then obviously the fatigue kicks in, and it's getting really obvious now about like the fatigue kicking in on teams defensively, just constant ruck infringements. Whereas when it was inside, I think it was inside 40, the previous rule, I think that was manageable for fatigue. But yeah, as I said, it goes both ways. Teams got to be more disciplined, especially that early in the game. We can't be lying on players and getting ruck infringements. That's just not on, to be honest. So if it's 30 minutes into the game, it's kind of a bit more forgivable. But first 10 minutes, like obviously you want to test the referee's patience, see what you can get away with. But I'm not happy with how the Cowboys perform. But then again, like it comes down to accountability, which fans don't want to take on their team if they're copping a lot of 6 agains.
Mate, what about when like Tom Dearden was in the press conference afterwards and he was saying you're getting stung with these 3 in one set and you don't know what it's for. So like, how can you sort of adjust what your team is doing and tell your team what to do, because it just you hear that bell, it just goes off. Like, it is a bit of a worry for coaches and players when they don't even know. I mean, what to adjust and how to change your discipline.
I think generally speaking, the 6 again for ruck infringements. That's what it's for, and maybe you don't need an explanation. For me, I still think for all the quick rucks that are happening, a pet peeve of mine when I'm watching the game is when a team's inside defending their own try line. Penrith are the absolute masters of it, and they're a very fit side, so they're happy to concede a 6 again, and they keep. In fact, I think the game against the Sharks was actually 2 in the one play.
Yeah.
For me, that is a big no-no. That's when you should be sent to the bin. Those ones in that transition where it is genuinely quick and a player's got that split-second decision to go, do I try and hold them down or do I just roll away? They're difficult. You're in the washing machine there, but the ones where it seems to be done almost like a professional foul. In fact, it is a professional foul. Ruck infringement penalties, they would have happened throughout the course of the history of our game, but the deliberate slowing down of the ruck inside your own 20, is there a case to make that should be sin bin professional foul? Like, or if they do in the same passage of play, if 3 are repeated or 2 are repeat, if it's a repeat offence for deliberately on purpose holding down inside that red zone of your own defence, like, is that? Would it be better to see them be punished rather than these 50-50 ones that happen in the transition?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think if you're down inside your 20 and you're just making constant ones like the Panthers do tactically, they're trying to break the rules. They're trying to bend the rules. I think that should be punished. And you want that kind of deleted out of the game rather than 3 ruck infringements 50 metres out from your line and someone going to the bin. It doesn't really make sense. They're not preventing a try scoring play. Yes, they're slowing down the ruck, but more so why I want it to go back to the long arm penalty when it's that far out, rather than constant ruck infringement. So I definitely agree with that.
Is this going to be like one of those sort of refereeing trends we get every year, where in 5 rounds from now it's not a thing anymore? Just, like the sin bin when they did there was 17 sin bins or whatever in that round 10 or something last year. Like when it comes to round 10 after Magic round, is it even still going to be a thing this year?
The old, it's not a crackdown, but it is.
Do you think it will ease up?
I think if you look at trends on a season by season case, we do see refereeing and match officiating change throughout the season based on what the public commentary around it is, and I'm still trying to figure it out, because I think back to sort of 20 years ago or 15 years ago, and there was a lot of ruck control, and people hated that. Well, how do you get rid of that? You penalise it, but then teams would purposefully do it, and they brought in the 6 again to punish those teams that over wrestle. But it seems like they've lost the direction of that, and it's become they're using the 6 agains for not over wrestling, but just slight ruck infringements. I prefer this version of the game to that version of the game. It's about finding that Goldilocks version, that just right. What is just right? And part of me does think, though, that the team that is quick enough to adapt. I go back to 2018, right? I was at the Dragons, and the referees were blowing the pee out of it. There was a game where there was like 30 penalties, and people were blowing up deluxe. And the public pressure on the match officials, and the public pressure on the game, and the commentary around the game was all directed towards there's too many penalties. I was playing at the Dragons. We adapted. and we were one of the least penalised sides, and we were winning plenty of games. And around halfway through the season, they changed, but we didn't. We kept our discipline. We should have pushed the envelope even more. And just to take that back to today's game, pick your roster that can be fit enough to not concede 6 against, or instruct your players not to do it, because then you'll gain a competitive advantage. Like, is it as simple as that? You know, from a Manly point of view and a Cowboys point of view, 2 teams that have been on the both the positive for Manly and the negative effect of the 6 games as well. Is it simple? Are you sat there going, why doesn't my coach tell my players to get rid of this?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, but it's like, what is Seibold telling them to do at all? Because sometimes it is slow it down, sometimes it's the opposite. And so it's trying to wrap your head around what the strategy is that they're trying to play on the pitch with the roster. And with the game getting quicker and quicker and quicker, the players are just going to have to get fitter and fitter and fitter. And I think you're even seeing that in the size of like prop forwards these days. Like Kaloa Matangi lost 15 kilos. I think they're not as big anymore because they need to be fitter, and the more weight, like the harder it is to play longer minutes. And so, yeah, it's a bit confusing at the moment. With the Manly roster as well, like we rely so heavily, I think, on our forwards just to open up space for the halves to then bring turbo into the game. And if you don't have that, if you have slow and tired forwards, it's just, you're not going to really get anywhere.
Yeah, I guess for our sake, I guess, kind of, I mean, you've probably been in the same system where you get the ref come into training and run the penalties through the game sims. Do you reckon that they did much of that during the preseason to understand? Because surely it's 4 years now of ruck infringements, of us going, what the hell are the ruck infringements for? Surely at this point, teams do know what they're for. They're playing game sims either opposed against each other, or I know Manly and the Dragons have had a lot of game sims in preseason as well. Surely at that point, that's a communication blocker where the ref goes, hey, no, you can't slow it down like that. Surely there's some sort of communication between clubs and refs.
Well, there is. Yeah. Yes, you bang on there, Nathan, that referees do come down to training, especially in the pre-season, and there'll be a 13-on-13 first team against reserves, and they referee it like an NRL game, and they'll explain to the players post-game around, well, you know, that is going to be a 60 game. So if you do that in a game for NRL, you're going to get pinged. Yeah, and we're going to do exactly that here. So I think there's 2 ways this could go. Players and coaches adapt, but if they don't, it's almost like that game of cat and mouse. Like I say, we've seen it throughout the seasons of changing of what is and isn't a penalty and what is and isn't a 6 again. Let's just hope we fast forward as quickly as possible to that, because you know there are some games that are being I think too heavily affected by it. Some games that aren't, but some that Cowboys West game, for example, was over within the first 20 minutes. There was no coming back after that. Just on the Cowboys and Manly, we'll double click on both of those sides. The season began, and those 2 particular clubs were certainly in the headlines, ready to be spoken about potential coaches moving on under a lot of pressure, like an insistence that they must start the season well. The dreaded 10 games, 2 games in, it's 0-2. Cowboys against last year's Wooden Spooners, and a team that didn't make the 8. Manly against last year's Wooden Spooners and last year's minor premiers. I'll look at Manly first. Is this a huge concern? Obviously, the bye and then the return of DCE on Thursday. But put that aside, like, where are you? What are your thoughts on the season so far, and what they can do moving forward?
It's very frustrating and almost concerning. Like at the start of last season, people were tipping Manly to make the top 4, and then this year there was a few tips flying around for Manly to win the Spoon, and as a Manly fan, I kind of almost just disregarded him. I was like, that's just people talking shit, like people hating on Manly. We're used to that. Manly hates you too. But then after 2 rounds, I'm like, okay, interesting. Starting to maybe see something here. And there were those articles about Seibold's got until round 12 to prove that he is a good fit for Manly. But after that loss on the weekend, I feel like that's worth almost like 4 losses because it was just how bad it is and how poor Manly's performance was, that I think it's just heaped so much pressure on. We're really lucky we've got the bye this week because next week DCE coming back is such a huge game, mainly because of how disruptive last season was. And with that DCE situation, like people were blaming DCE, people were blaming the coach and like DCE for disrupting the entire season. But I feel like Seibold throughout his tenure at Manly has almost been not saved by, but some of the poor performances have been excused by Turbo being injured for long periods of time and DCE disrupting the club. And I think that's taken a bit of a shine away from potentially Seibold just not being the right coach for Manly and it not working. And I don't think it's worked very well since he arrived. And so I think the pressure is absolutely on. Like I was at the game against the Knights, standing on the hill, on the Good Day Hill, and then...
not an ad?
Not an ad.
We're blurring the hat, by the way, as well.
Yeah, I'll put it on backwards. What was I going to say? I've been to a lot of Manly games the past few years. That was the most hostile I've ever seen the hill towards the club. There were chants like for Seibold to leave, we want Matty Ballin. There were like people were screaming to hook Luke Brooks like before the first half, before half time. And I'd never seen it so hostile. Like it seemed like people had their pitchforks out on the hill. And I feel like you get a pretty good idea of how Manly fans are feeling standing on the hill on a Sunday afternoon.
I think it's justified as well. Like, you know, no disrespect to Newcastle, but the facts are the facts. They were last year's wooden spooners. Their 2 best players leave the field at halftime, not coming back. That stresses the interchange bench. I watched that second half, and if you were new to the game, you would have said no. Manly are the team that have their 2 best players missing. The Knights with 15 players and basically $3 million.
Yeah, $3 million.
You know, about maybe 25% of their salary cap not playing. Like they were just. Did Manly barely looked like creating? Didn't look like doing much at all.
And they finished like 8. They completed like 8 sets or something, which is absurd in that second half. And you just have to watch that passage of play when Garrick made the break. And Saab is the only one running past him, and all the other players are like, "Oh, sweet, he's got it."
Well, he runs away. He runs away from Saab.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he
and then
runs away
Saab
from
doesn't even bother coming back to play the ball. He goes, "You fucking miss me. I'm done."
Whatever. Like, you have at it. And you're watching, and you're like, where is everybody?
Yeah.
What are they doing? What are you like? This game has been so embarrassing so far. Here's a perfect opportunity to show that you still want to play this game and your head's still in it, and you just let it run. And then Garrick stands there after the dummy half grabs the ball, and he's just like, what is going on? Garrick, mind you, who's leaving at the end of the year to go to the Roosters next year. It's like, who's having a crack? It was such a brutal watch. And I think that's really changed the opinion of the peninsula, essentially. And I think the pressure is on Seibold massively.
Is it salvageable this season?
I don't... not to win the comp, I don't think.
Is it salvageable, the job?
I don't believe so. I think we would have seen things in the 3 years. If Seibold was able to turn it around, I think we would have seen reasons or evidence of that in the past 3 years, which I don't think we've seen. So I don't think he is able to turn it around. And there's been question marks on him for a couple of years. And as I said, like DCE leaving last year, that was a huge disruptor. I mean, I just don't think Seibold, though, is a good fit for our team. And you look at the roster as well, for example. Like we have Joe, it's quite confusing because we have Joey Walsh who's playing super well in the trials, and everyone is begging for him to start, Play Brooks at 14, play Brooks at 14. Walsh is on the bench, whereas number 14 in the first game, but then on Sunday, he's playing New South Wales Cup. So it's like, what's going on with this guy? Like, how are we utilising him? We need to utilise him because our halves look so flat. But we're just going to let him play New South Wales Cup and then have that performance that we did. And similarly with Jake Trbojevic, who is the heart and soul of the Peninsula, like the golden boy. Everybody loves him. And then that article came out at the start of the year when he got his new technology headgear, where he was saying that like 1 or 2 bad knocks could essentially end his career prematurely. But he's out playing 63 minutes and he's looking slower. He's lost a step of pace and
he's still trying his guts out. Like he tries so hard in
so
defense.
hard, so hard. And that's why, like, I think you just need to adapt his position rather than like rid of him completely.
Yeah, just reduce minutes.
Reduce
and
minutes,
get more
I think.
from some of the other players.
Absolutely.
On the Joey Walsh situation, would you rather blood him in this kind of fire that could kill his career? I mean, we saw Tom did, and he's now come out the other side, but he was 4-30 in his first 34 games at the Broncos, and he had the next Darren Lockyer, everything on him. Brodie Croft, he went to the Super League. He couldn't handle it either. There's a few players who've kind of just, burnt down. Ash Taylor's another great example of trying to get out of a really tough club. Do you reckon them kind of almost saving him, trying to find a good start to the season and then inject him when the team's going well to give him that confidence that he can handle this side? Because at the moment, it's a bit of a train wreck, and if they don't get the right coach, he could be starting next year in a team under even more pressure than they are right now.
That's a great point. And I think like it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I think through the desperation that Manly fans are kind of feeling at the moment, where like anything will do.
Any change.
Like
Just change some, like
change.
Yeah, you
Like,
can't keep doing the same thing.
Can't keep doing the same thing and expecting the same results. It's like the definition of insanity. And so Walsh has showed promise. And so it's like, great, put him in. What are we waiting for? But then at the same point, like it might be a lot of pressure for a really young player to carry the weight of like the
whole
Northern
peninsula
Beaches,
just
the whole
saying, "Fuck
peninsula
you."
on his shoulders. Like, come on, man, it's on you. You're going to save us. You're our savior. But I think he has showed promise and he's shown maturity when he's on the pitch that, yeah, okay, but he doesn't have to be our like locked in starting half for the rest of the year. But like, give him a couple of games. If it goes bad, you can always bring him back and shield him if need be. But I think it's worth trying.
Tommy, the Manly club, very heavily connected to their old boys. Like a lot of clubs are. The Cowboys and some recent board changes. Jason King comes in as the CEO. It's not his team. It's not his coach. But often talk of Manly is you need a Manly person to understand the club. Is that how you feel? Like it's got to be somebody like you said about on the hill, Matt Ballon. Do you feel that is and would be a better suit, somebody that quote unquote understands the club?
I think so, and I think that opinion is quite heavily believed in on the peninsula, just from evidence. Like a former player has coached us to all our premierships, and so I think from that it's like, okay, that's a formula that works, and they get it, they understand it, and so that's why I think that there are calls for Matty Ballon. I personally don't think it has to be Matty Ballon. I think Willie Peters has shown a lot of promise over in the Super League as well. Like if it's the choice between Seibold or Matty Ballon, absolutely, I think we should definitely test Matty Ballon. But I don't think just because he's a former Manly player means that we need to get him in. I think what we need to do is look at the best options available. I mean, last year there was 3 coaches sacked, and that means like 3 potential coaches are taken off the board. And so just doing due diligence, trying with Jason King, the new CEO, and trying to find what they think the best fit is going to be. If it's not Matty Ballant, so be it, as long as they believe it's going to be the best fit for the club.
We'll look a bit more into the race to the bottom and the race, because I think Willie Peters is the standout.
Yep.
And it could be whoever moves first gets their man. Nathan, for you from a Cowboys perspective, an incredibly disappointing start to the season with 2 losses against 2 sides that also missed the 8 alongside the Cowboys. When the draw came out, you can only assume that they looked at that and thought, well, we've got to start 2-0. There's our leg up into this dreaded round 10 review.
Absolutely. I mean, I looked at those games and I said we could get a good start here, because the end of the season is a terrible run for us. So we kind of wanted to start really well. I was over there in Vegas for that first game, and it's been really disappointing that it's just been the same defensive structure for the last 3 seasons. I mean, when Toddy came in that 2022 year, which I thought possible chance to play a grand final against Penrith. Mitch Moses forward pass crawled us of that, but we won't get into that. But they conceded 361 points. Whoa! Hey.
Surprised how many points they
conceded. We conceded 361 points that regular season, the second least points we've ever conceded in a season, with the 2016 effort. So that defense was really good. Apparently the strategy there was Toddy was just surprising players that they had to get up and tackle. They thought they'd go for a run up Castle Hill. No, you're tackling for half an hour. And just those surprise attacks so that they were ready to tackle all the time. And I'm not too sure if that kind of just got old or that system, the players got used to it, because since then it's just been more and more points that we've been conceding each year, to the point where last year I think we conceded 700 plus points, which was the second most we've conceded in the last 23 years. So it's been really confusing about the defence, and we know that you can't play Holden Cup footy where if you score more points than the opposition, you win. The NRL's a different beast to that. And so I think it's been really disappointing, our defensive efforts. And as I mentioned earlier, that Adam Doueihi try basically sums up the last 3 seasons for us. That effort on effort where you've got a halfback. Adam Doueihi's not a small player by any stretch, but like he was just able to waltz over there. Scott Drinkwater's underneath, doesn't put hands underneath. I know he's got some niggling injuries, but that moment right there kind of summed up what the Cowboys have been playing for. And look, you played plenty of rugby league games, and I don't think players go out to lose matches to try and get the coach sacked, or if they do, maybe they do. But just some of those efforts to play for your coach is under pressure, and you pull out that 2 games into a season, not even fatigued, is really embarrassing. I don't mind Toddy as a coach. Wasn't too happy with him playing Jackson Purdue in the halves. I think Jackson's not ready for the halves just yet, and we saw that in his 5 games that he played. And even in the trial period, he didn't take the line on like he does when he's at centre. I think fullback probably a better position before we throw him into the halves. So in terms of roster and stuff like that, that's something to look at. But even in general with our roster, we haven't made any big signings at all in the last 4 years. We've stayed stagnant. We've lost Val Holmes. He went. Jordan McLean, obviously a test star. Peter Hickey has played for New Zealand as well. He left as well. We haven't really been replacing those guys with great players. We've got Kai O'Donnell. We got Carl Lawton. We got Matthew Lodge this season. John Bateman. Like players who are kind of, fringe, making the starting squad and really making impact. We've got some great back rowers ourselves, like Lukey, Nanai, and all that in our list. We lost Cooley Kefu, which was a big loss for us, but we just couldn't rotate them all the way around. And now you just look at that forward pack in particular. We need that to start to get Scotty the ball out the back, because Tommy did and Scotty Drinkwater, they thrive off front foot footy. And if we can't give it to them, then, we're just chasing our tail because we can't defend at the moment.
Just going back there, you mentioned losing Kulu Kefu, Fini Fuiaki, but also you lost the hammer.
Yes, exactly.
As well, which, I mean,
how could I forget? I try to forget.
Difficult dilemma, and again, the the talk around the game was he was actually quite content to play in the centre at the Cowboys. Is that one of those big mistakes? And I know what it's like from a playing point of view when a star goes out the door or a potential, and you're going, well, we it'd be handy in our team. I know the Cowboys issues seem more defensive orientated than attack. But still, he is a star, like an absolute genuine star of the game.
Oh, absolutely. And seeing what he can do, like obviously hindsight is great, but I think when he left the club, he might have just made his Origin debut at centre. And like what he's done now is one of the top try scorers in Origin history at left centre, which is absolutely crazy. So, yeah, I guess at the time you don't really think too much about it, but looking back, he's definitely a big loss. But, for me, I'm not really too big on signing like a big star attacking player. We just need players who have heart and defence, who want to be there. Reuben Cotter, he's great. Amazing player. And he is the heart of our defensive line at the moment. And he can't do it all himself, unfortunately. He's got to really rely on other players. But, yeah, as much as I would love to sign someone attacking flair-wise, I mean, Bronson Cherry's obviously a name being floated around, but
just play him on the left,
play him left second row if he wants, or can he play middle? We just need to fix up those gaps, and just it all comes down back to mentality, discipline from the get go. Just make the tackles, and our attack can do the rest. So, yeah,
mate. As a Warriors fan, the Todd Payten situation is so interesting because he was coaching, I think it was in 2022 for the Warriors, and the Warriors were so keen to extend him and sign him on, and he didn't want to bar it. He wanted to go to North Queensland. Then we had 6 or 7 games with Stacey Jones. I think we lost all of them in the end of the season, and then we signed this guy who'd never coached a top side before, Andrew Webster, and he changed the face of the Warriors. Like, he's finished top 4 twice, and then came sort of 10th or 11th or 12th, I think, one season. But I mean, if the Warriors had re-signed Todd Payten, I think the Warriors and the Cowboys both would have been in a total different situation now.
100%.
That's I think one of the good things that did happen to the Warriors.
But that's the thing, like Andrew Webster coming out of the Ivan Cleary factory. I mean, once upon a time it was the Craig Bellamy factory. Every coach underneath that, and even Jason Riles, he's getting Parramatta there. But Andrew Webster came out, Cameron Serrato came out. Look, those sides are now, top 8 regulars. So I feel like if you want an assistant coach, you got to look at that club or Melbourne potentially to look towards somebody, a team that we look to next to. If it's not Willie Peters, I'm not too sure. Brad Arthur's doing some good things at Leeds, to be honest, with the roster he's got there. But yeah, I'm not too sure where we would go to next coach, to be honest. I still think Toddy's the man.
And then P&G and are still looking for a coach as well.
Yeah.
So it's
crazy.
This is good time to be a coach.
Yeah.
Looking for a job.
Nathan, are you in the same camp there that it's the writing's on the wall, and it's or is this season salvageable for the Cowboys?
I'm going to say it's still salvageable. I think we still got the team. You got Nanai coming back for us. I think that would be big. I think Tommy Dearden's all heart. Reuben Cotter's all heart. Scotty Drinkwater can create something out of nothing. If he didn't throw that pass to Luke Lally on that weekend, we could have gotten back to 34-24, and it could still be a salvageable game too. So I do believe in our attack. I do believe in the players that we've got there. We can't do much about our middles at the moment, but I think that's probably our weakest point, and that's where teams are ripping us up. They're just charging through the middles, opens up their attack, and our backs just can't handle the fast pace at the moment. So I think we can salvage this. We showed last season, I think we were 0-4, 0-5, and then we won 5 games in a row, and then we decided to drop Jake Clifford after we drew with Penrith and Townsville. And then we lost 5 games in a row, and then we kind of sort of were a glimmer of hope. But yeah, I still have belief that we can get back there. It's only 2 games. Only 2 games in. We saw Manly 0-4 in 2021. They turned it around and made top 4. So yeah, anything can happen.
How is it as a fan of a side like the Cowboys when you're struggling throughout the season, and then you see Tom Dearden, Reuben Cotter, Nanai, all these Queensland players just go and killing it for the Origin matches. Like, is that annoying to you as a fan, or where do you sit with that?
I kind of see through it. I don't really look at the team and go every single player is playing badly. I kind of see that Tom Dearden always tries. He always tries. Ruben Cotter always tries, makes his tackles. The players I blow up, I don't blow up at Tom Dearden when I'm watching the Cowboys game. I don't blow up at Ruben Cotter. Nanai maybe defensively, but his attack is incredible too. He can pinch a ball from the air. He can step a couple of players. Those are the players that I reckon the least I would blow up about in the Cowboys lineup. So I don't really look at that and go, oh, look at them going for Queensland, look at them go for Australia, and they're killing it. I kind of see their efforts in where I think some fans can kind of go, team's going bad, everyone's going bad.
Does it add to the frustration? So when you look at the 6 again interpretation of the season so far, it seems to suit attacking sides, right? You look at they're an attacking side. Manly, Trbojevic, was it 2020 when the 6 against first came in? And it was like, he was just like Jonah Lomu on the old PlayStation 2 game, like just unstoppable.
Yeah,
and,
biblical.
You know, think about the Seahawks this year. They won the NFL. They were defensive. It was a defensive-oriented game. They had the best defense. They win. Like teams that are best suited to the style of game seem to come out on top. And if you would have said to me that this year points are going to be a lot of shootout games. You look at Brisbane v Para, like shootout games, like back and forth, loads of points being scored. Cowboys definitely suited to that style of game, but unable to get the wins. And Manly again with the likes of Hopewate, Kohler, Trbojevic.
Oh yeah,
Olakawat, like these guys would be. They're attacking footballers. You think of Tommy, you think attack.
Yeah.
You think of Kohler, you think attack. You think of Olakawat, you think of attack. They're not defensive teams, and the way the game's being set up to attack, does that add to the disappointment?
It does, but at the same time, I think maybe it's just showing how big a loss DCE was for Manly, because his combination with Tommy in attack was just like, when they were on, it was like watching nothing else. I think with Fogarty, he's coming to a new club. He's still got to learn and gel and get used to it all, but it just seems like the connections aren't there. They're not what they used to be, especially in attack. And I think you're seeing that in the first 2 games. It is only 2 games. And as Nathan said, in 2021, we started 0-4. But that year, Turbo did also win the Dally M off like 14 games or something.
And Turbo's trying hard.
Turbo looks...
He's doing everything.
He looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest fears for this season is that Turbo's going to stay fit the entire season and look amazing, but we're just not going to get anywhere.
That is a nightmare.
Like,
you'd rather be
begging
16-0
for it.
and Turbo does his ACL. And then
We've just been begging for a whole season from Turbo since 2021, but even then he was out for like 5 weeks. It's like, if this happens, that's going to be, I think, when Manly fans officially lose their minds at the end of the year.
I would argue that defense is probably still a big factor.
Yeah.
You look at Penrith, the rules have changed. They've only conceded 6 points. Like,
he still wins comps.
So against Penrith, granted, but against other teams, what I consider middle 8 sides, that there's not much between them, and on any given day they could beat each other.
Yeah.
Like I think the Dogs are probably a more defensive oriented side as well. Melbourne to an extent.
To an extent,
but if you go, let's have a shootout between the Cows and the Tigers. Really, you'd be looking at the Cows to
100%.
get that. If you're having a shootout between the Knights and Manly all day on paper.
Yeah.
On a dry track at home, Sunday afternoon, heaving 4 Pines Park. I thought that was a Manly win
Perfect
for sure.
ingredients. Perfect.
And we've seen it happen so many times. I think one of the most frustrating things is just the current lack of consistency. And the term second half team with Manly has been, I know personally, used quite a lot. Just because we've done it so many times before where we might have going into the half down and then just pulled like 30 points out of our ass in the second half. And it's just phenomenal. But it's like, where's the consistency there and the not knowing? And it's like, our attack can look phenomenal and beat a lot of teams in a shootout. But how do you get that? How do you make that more consistent throughout the entire season, through a whole game?
And you know, we know how difficult momentum is to wrestle back. Number of occasions this year, Manly against Canberra, KO Week sort of fumbles the ball, they front load, they tap, and I thought, oh, here come Manly. One first play, Canberra had like 3 plays behind the ball, shift, line break. Same against the Newcastle Knights. Fogarty kicks deep, they pin in the corner, Ponga actually goes down, 2-pass shift to Bradman Best, they break.
Crazy.
And it's just like, there's your momentum changer. Where's like, whoa, we've like that excitement that should come when you can just sense a team. It's like, we've got them here.
Yep.
And even the game against the Raiders, like Ethan Sanders slots up field goal.
No one.
Nobody is there.
Not a single person.
Except for Jake Trbojevic, as you said, he's
He came
still
from
trying
Markham, mate.
his. But like, he was like optically, he was the only one running. You saw that big black headgear just steaming towards him. But where was everybody else? Because I was watching that and I was like, how did he just have so much time to kick that
watching
field
it
goal?
on the TV? It kind of, and Sanders' reaction as well. Like, I was like, what's wrong?
Didn't even crack a smile.
What's happened here? It couldn't. There must have been a foul play in the build-up because there was one Manly player there. When you look at the
Crazy.
difference between the Raiders that conceded a penalty because they were that eager and that excited to put pressure on Brooks, I think it was, in just before Golden Point. Brooks was never going to kick that anyway, but Raiders were so energetic. Like the contrast there was, it stuck out like
Could
dog's
that be a
balls.
fatigue thing?
No, I don't know.
Or effort areas? I don't know.
Maybe
I'm trying to blame fatigue.
Not in the
out
first
of it,
minute
like-
of Golden Point. Not in the first
Yeah,
minute.
no
Yeah.
way. Yeah, nah.
I
It's-
reckon, honestly, I do think it like the more I hear it from an outsider, I just think it is Seibs. And I mean, you got Jamal Fogarty. He's obviously filling big shoes in DCE,
Massive,
but like
yeah.
he's a minor premiership halfback. He's got a boot that can sort of get any team out of trouble. It's the best boot in the game, really. Like a pretty solid roster. I think the more I hear, the more it just sounds like Seibs' days could be numbered.
I think so. And I think he came to Manly, I think, with a lot of baggage, obviously, in the form of a wooden spoon to the Broncos. And so it was like, okay, let's see how this plays out. Even in unceremonious circumstances with the Jersey saga and Des leaving. And so it's like, let's see how this plays out. And I just don't think the experiments worked. And I think it just might be time to try something new and change. And with the new CEO, with Josh King in, I think it's a perfect opportunity to revitalise the club.
It's often spoken about agents having too much power at certain clubs. Both the Cowboys and Manly's coach are represented by Isaac Moses, and we know he has a lot of players in his what would be called the stable. Is that a concern from a fan perspective that he has a lot of influence, should we put it lightly?
I only found out that Isaac Moses was that when I read the run sheet this morning. I thought Isaac Moses was just Tigers Manly. Now he's brought his shit over to the Cowboys. I don't know. I'm not too sure. Not too sure at all. I don't know too much about the player agent sphere, and I don't think any player agent wants to drag a team down. But Isaac Moses' influence
They don't want to drag a team down. But Joel, go on.
Well, not with the Warriors, but obviously the whole Tigers situation with Isaac Moses, he does seem like he has the power to drag teams down. So, yeah.
And Manly did sign a lot of Tigers players in the past couple of years.
Well, like, if here's the thing. Jamal Fogarty goes down. We were talking about this the other day. Jamal Fogarty goes down. Guess who the halves for Manly? Luke Brooks, Brandon Wakeham. 4 years ago in a wooden spoon year, who were the Tigers halves? Brooks and Wakeham. So it's kind of almost a carbon copy.
Yeah. I was thinking about this. Also, I think I said Josh King before I meant Jason King.
No, Josh King's is the
Josh King's doing two-
playing for Melbourne and CEO. of
Yeah,
Manly.
did you know that?
He
He's
can do
doing
it
two
all.
things.
What an
That's why
absolute
Manly's
weapon.
going down.
What an absolute weapon. I was thinking about this because I've known that Seibold has been represented by Moses for a couple of years. And I think if we were successful, he would be on his way to getting a statue built out the front of Brookvale. But I think because we haven't been that successful, and because he represents Brooks, who's had so much pressure on him and hasn't been that successful at the club. He represents Seibold, who's the coach of the club, hasn't been that successful. If he was bringing successful or representing successful coaches and players at the club, he would be lauded on the peninsula. Like, he would be celebrated. But I just think I can't fathom there being ulterior motives for bringing like non-successful players to clubs on purpose. I mean, he's obviously doing his job and he's representing a lot of players. But I think given the lack of success in the past couple of years for Manly, that, I can understand why people look at it negatively. Because it does feel like he has a lot of power there.
Just on the coaches, finally, the writing does appear to be on the wall, and you brought up earlier about PNG that they need a coach, and some would be more comfortable with saying no than others, but some may not. Do you feel like a quick decision is necessary due to the fear of missing out on a Willie Peters? Like, do you think it's okay? Well, is there that jeopardy there of, well, if let's say the Cowboys are saying, oh, Manly are going to wait for 10 games before they make a call. Let's make a call after 4 or 5.
I'm super interested to see how this plays out, because there were calls at the end of last season for Seibold to be sacked, or that he was staring. It was like the writing was on the wall. And near the end of last season, we have Jason King, new CEO of Manly, and I'm thinking, surely they're starting to do their due diligence and research now, and like middle of last year.
See who's in, if somebody
see
is
who's
interested.
available. Like, if the writing's on the wall back then, surely you've done plenty of research. You've had these discussions. You've got someone lined up, rather than being like, oh, we'll give Seibold and we'll give him another 12 weeks. After seeing 3 coaches take new jobs last year, like, there's not that many left on the platter anymore. I hope they've done their due diligence and are ready to make a decision when need be.
I think Willie Peters is the absolute standout as well, which makes it even more interesting. You've got a crop of maybe 4 or 5 unemployed coaches, some with experience, some rookies, but for me, Willie Peters is such a standout. This is what adds to that degree of interest.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus, you've got a coach that's willing to put his hand up and be a head coach, and he knows the club really well, and that's Trent Barrett. And I think that you guys would do really well with Trent there.
Do you, Nathan?
Yeah, I do. I think that.
Great. Thank you. For that. I really appreciate
His
that.
record speaks for himself.
That's okay. Yeah, we've tried that before. We need shiny new toys on the peninsula. I think the decision definitely needs to be made sooner rather than later, than round 12, because if we keep going on the same trajectory we're going, by round 12, things are looking pretty dire.
But it becomes like, if you keep waiting, and then, like Todd Payten, I think his tenor was Magic Round. See how you go at after Magic Round, and then we'll make a decision. But at that point, the season's lost.
He's off contract as well.
Yes.
Coach Payten, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. So
It's 100%.
You want
It's
it
like,
to
why
be
hasn't a
quick.
decision been made already? Why wasn't a decision made at the end of last year, and we started the new season with a new coach?
yeah, it's not a new coach who's trying to get things rolling. It's a coach who's been there for 4 years, and now, look, if we lose to the Titans, I reckon that's it. That's the final nail in the coffin for us. To be honest,
Yeah.
it's going to be
Last
29
game of
degrees.
the round. It's
Humid, all eyes. I know they put up a fight against the Dolphins, but for me personally, this is a game that we beat them.
Jaden Campbell
Really well.
back as well.
Off the bench, that's okay.
But I agree. I think Manly versus Chooks is do or die. Like, it just feels like that place is going to blow. There's so much narrative and storylines going on at the moment, and it feels like a loss will just be the nail in the coffin, I think, for Seibold.
is it as drastic as that? You think it's win or bust, or perform or bust?
I think it is. I think that's my personal opinion. It just feels like if you don't win this game at home Thursday night, DCE's coming back.
3 home games in a row as well. You've had such a good run. We're just going to Townsville
Oh
now.
my God!
We've been to Vegas, we've been to Sydney, we've been
Bro,
everywhere.
It's
Don't
wild.
set him off.
It's not ideal.
I wanted to crash out for content.
Maybe we need to go away. We need to get off the peninsula. Take us away.
Maybe
Let's go.
it's you guys. Maybe it's blame the fans.
Maybe it's the fans
blame
on the
them, it's
hill.
fans.
Yeah.
Take the team to Christchurch. There we go.
Yeah, relocation.
The Christchurch
Let's
Seagulls.
go.
I didn't realise how passionate Manly fans were until last year. I went to the Brookie Hill for the first time
Oh
ever.
yeah, did you? Was that the
Seibold.
last game of the season?
Yeah, and it was when Joey Walsh came on. And
Yes.
I don't think I've ever heard a roar like that in my life. When
Yeah.
he came on, it was pretty amazing. So there's a fair bit of passion in that club, and you got a potential Ferrari sitting in the garage with Joey Walsh as well. So
Yeah.
it's going to be so interesting to see what
Absolutely.
happens.
And like, there's nothing personal against Seibold. I just think the experiment hasn't worked, and I think the decision needs to be made sooner rather than later, because I think the decision personally should have been made at the end of last year to set ourselves up for success.
You think Thursday night, if a loss happens, the boos will echo?
Probably booze when they run out.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
DCE.
DCE.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
there's
Well-
talk about DCE being booed. I'm not about that.
Yeah, fair. He did a lot for the club.
He did. He got us a
It
premiership.
wasn't ideal how he left, but I mean,
He
yeah.
wasn't, but there was there's like so much smoke and mirrors around that whole situation as well.
It
It's
is
like
bizarre.
He said, she said. It is absolutely
It is.
bizarre. And then you've got Tony Mestrov calling NRL 360. It's like, Dad, you're embarrassing me. What are you doing? This is not real. Like,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
what am I watching here? And so with him coming back, I can understand if like fans will be unhappy and want to boo him. I don't think that's the play. But as you said, Brookie Oval can be very passionate. There's a lot of pressure. There's a bit of vitriol in the air. I mean, I can see it spilling over. And if we lose, I think as well.
Mate, I heard the Hello Sport boys talking about it. I'm like, can't Manly just be happy that you did win a premiership in 2011? Like, I mean, you took it off the Warriors as well. I mean, I think the day the Warriors
I
won
thought
a-
you gave it to us, didn't you?
Well,
You handed
yeah.
it to us? Or
that as well. But I mean, the day the Warriors win a premiership, I can die happy, and I can stop the stress of having to back the Warriors for 30 weeks a year, normally 26 or 27. But I think you just need to relax and just
Yeah, you'll need a
enjoy
holiday
your footy.
after 30 weeks of
Yeah.
that extra 4.
Yeah.
It is good, but
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's a premiership every decade, and it has been.
Be a travesty on the buy round if the Warriors won the comp. Oh my God, can you imagine?
Is that when you give it up, Jimmy?
That's when
Is that when you just, full lease?
I might be on
the
holiday
studio?
that week. Just bring a special guest in
That's only
to host
fair.
the show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hand
I
over
just
the
can't,
keys.
can't do it.
Did you when you played against the Warriors and stuff? Is there something that happened when you played against the Warriors?
No. I actually enjoy the banter of the Warriors fans. It's just they seem to have a bee in their bonnet if they're not like first cab off the rank in terms of discussing the games. It's like there are 7 other fixtures Warriors fans, and there are other stories that are in and around the game. Like the Warriors are doing well. It's not a sexy story.
Yeah.
It'd be good when Halasima gets $1 million a year from one of the big Sydney clubs. That's when we'll talk about the
He
Warriors.
signed till the end of 2029. But
Oh, well, he'll get homesick. He'll find out that he's got some relatives in Sydney that he needs to go and see, that all of a sudden become really important figures in his life.
man, I
in Manly.
do think, like, even sitting here and just listening to you guys talk about all your struggles and stuff, I think that maybe as a Warriors fan and for the Warriors fans that listen and comment all the time on the Byron, maybe we should just be enjoying our time outside of the spotlight and just flying low, because that is probably when the Warriors do succeed, when there's no expectation and they're just cruising underneath the
Under the radar.
So maybe just take it easy.
I was going to say that. Does it concern you when they're going well? Because there were so many games. There were so many games last season where you thought, oh, we're on here. We could win this game. And like Penrith sent their reserve grade over to Go Media Stadium and beat you by 16 points. And then there's been a lot of games like that where you guys are now, all eyes are on you because you're starting to play some good footy. But sometimes, most of the time, it felt like you guys kind of flaked.
Yeah, well, this podcast is out on Sunday, and I mean we're breaking the fourth wall here. It's been recorded before we played Newcastle, so I could have some serious egg on my face if we go over and
No Fletcher Sharp apparently too, so far out.
No Fletcher Sharp. I mean, Warriors are missing 6 of their starters. But
Did you mention that?
I don't know if I mentioned it.
I didn't read about it.
It is a very Warriors thing to do to lose games like that. But maybe that's the Warriors of the past. You know, we're moving into this new Andrew Webster dynasty.
Just
Maybe.
on the Knights, maybe they're really good this year.
Exactly. Like that was what.
Am I right?
Maybe.
When the Warriors
Rando?
lost to Raiders last year
We
in
had enough game
Vegas.
in Vegas. We were hungover.
Too busy playing craps. Yeah, fair enough.
To be fair, when Kalen Ponga and Dylan Brown came off, they only scored 6 points. They only scored one more try.
Yeah. Sunday, bloody Sunday, that was far out.
Joel, as an outsider, if you are Willie Peters and you've got the pick of not just either side, but either club, if Braithen Astor, his agent, gives you the call and say, mate, we've got offers on the table from both of these, who'd you pick and why?
Personally, I'd probably wait another couple of years and go take the tax-free money in PNG.
No,
that wasn't the question.
That's not the question, Joel.
No, I would.
Because the PNG coach will be appointed very soon.
Yeah, correct.
And Willie Peters can't go tax free. He's got to be homesick. He's got a young family here. You Warriors fans know all about that.
Yeah.
He's living in England. He's homesick, so he wants to come back to Australia.
Yeah.
He's got the option to go to Townsville and take over the Cowboys, or go to the Peninsula and take over Manly.
Mate, I would go to North Queensland if I was Willie Peters. I do feel like they have such a potential with these players. They have stars. Tom Dearden, he's still fairly young. They've got Jackson Purdue, who could be an absolute superstar in coming years. They also don't have that. They do have old boy pressure, but they don't have that sort of heavy old boy pressure that the Manly club does. The fans seem like they borderline. I mean, it's almost toxic from the Manly fans. Like,
You think the Cowboys are also maybe an easier fix?
I do think they are, yeah, and they have all these representative players as well. Jason Tomalolo's big contracts is coming to an end soon as well, so there's going to be a fair bit of cap space free there. Like, I think you were right with the recruitment. Like, they got Reid Marnie. I think he's a good signature, but I mean, when you're signing players like Carl Lawton and Matt Lodge, who are Warriors legends, but yeah, I mean, there's a reason why the Warriors got rid of them.
They're homesick, and that's why.
And Matt Lodge had a fight with the owner, but you do want to sort of. I mean, you want to sort of get a better recruitment system and find ways, because it's North Queensland. I hear Gordon Taylor say it all the time. It's the rugby league is just everything up there as well. So yeah, if I was Willie Peters, I'd be looking to head to North Queensland and try and fix that mess.
From a Super League perspective, with what Willie's done at a.k.a, do you reckon there was much fan pressure? For obviously, success hasn't really come much for a.k.a, so they'd be happy with anything. But
I honestly can't believe what he's done.
Yeah,
like, it is beyond incredible. Like, and he's been helped by investment with the ownership group there. But a.k.a, even after I left in 2011. They were a side that yo-yoed between promotion and relegation. They weren't even the best team in Hull. If you'd have told me a Hull side was going to win anything, I would have said Hull FC. He's assembled a roster there, and obviously has a philosophy of coaching. It's a good roster, but it's not great.
Yeah,
like, he's got the absolute best out of a number of players that are playing at absolute capacity, repeating that as well. One of the great difficulties in England, from a squad and a club perspective and a coach perspective, is once you win a trophy, the queue goes on the rack. And I've done that at St. Helens, winning the Challenge Cup. You're a successful season. It's done. And a.k.a could have been forgiven for winning the Challenge Cup, a hugely emotional day, and just going, well, that's us. We're done. But they didn't. They went again. League leaders, and then the grand final, the big pressure. It's not been won by anyone other than Leeds, St. Helens, Wigan, and Bradford. there might be one more in there, so my apologies if I've been corrected, Mr. Club out. But Hook, that is beyond huge. Like he is so far ahead in terms of being the next NRL coach. He's just in a league of his own for next candidate.
Yeah.
League of his own. We'll finish off, gents, with a bit of a lighter subject of the proposed move to extend the playoff system. We've seen many tournaments expand their offerings, Champions League, World Cups. In football, I'm talking about new teams coming in, obviously brings, I think, a fairer way to bring maybe 10 teams into the playoff and open up that avenue for a wild card. I was against it until last year when I looked at some of the sides that didn't play finals and I thought, oh, well, that would add interest. I think those teams would add to the final series. From a fan perspective, is there an appetite there for more finals games, that potential of a wild card, or 10 teams in the final series?
I think the wild card is intriguing. Like, it'd be extremely entertaining. But then if you're the team that finishes... So would it be 7, 8, 9, 10 playoff?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
You'd feel pretty dudded if you came 7th and then didn't make it. Like, just losing on your day. But I think it'd be so entertaining as a fan to watch that it'd be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a great opportunity for the Tigers to finally make the finals because they always finish 9th, so that'd be good for them. But I'm not a big fan of it. The AFL changed it this year, and it got some big backlash. I just think the top 8 has always been the top 8. You strive to get into the top 8. And I know sometimes in seasons past that teams miss out, and by the last 4 rounds, it's basically meaningless. I think that with more teams in the competition, it'll be a bit more of a fight to get into that top 8. But as you said, like, the more teams we bring into the team, maybe we do need to extend that final series. And we've seen it in the NFL. We will see it in the AFL before anything else. Or wouldn't surprise me if Alandy says with 5 weeks to go, the top 10 teams now make it. But yeah, as like a fan for a long time, I think top 8 is usually what you want to strive for.
I was going to say we'd probably need top 16 for you boys to
hang on, mate. Hang on, mate.
But, no, I'm pretty firmly against it as well, because I think that like the teams that finish 5th to 8th, they almost have no chance of beating the top 4 teams. So like, if you finish 9th or 10th, are you going to have a chance to even have any chance against the top 4? Like, it's just sort of prolonging your season for failure, really, because like they did it in the NBA and stuff as well.
A lot of sport and competitions across the world are expanding their finals offerings.
Yeah,
like it's a trend, but because it's big money.
Yeah. But then you also don't want to turn into a league like the NBA where no one really cares about the regular season.
Yeah.
It just turns into this. People start tuning in the finals. Like, I think you want that round 1 to 26, 27 product
be meaningful.
That's meaningful, and you want to be fighting for that top 8 spot. And yeah, maybe if there's 20 teams in the competition, you can revisit it then. But I think before then, keep it top 8 and make you earn your stripes to win the comp.
That's what kind of works with the NFL. There's kind of like not much room to move. Plus, you got the conference system as well to try and make it. So I understand the wild card with that conference and division system that they've got at the moment, but for just a straight ladder to just add 10 teams, I'm not too sure about it.
I'd love to see us go back to the McIntyre system.
Yeah,
like I think 1v8 and throw that bit of jeopardy. And I think one should be, if you finish first, you shouldn't have to play 4th. You should have to play the bottom team that scrapes in, and it should be hard. It should be harder to win it from 8th and easier to win it from 1st.
Yeah.
My greatest memory as a Warriors fan is when we finished 8th in 2008 and went to Melbourne and bet the Storm on Olympic Park, and Michael Witt scored that try in the last minute. Like, that's an achievement that no team in 8 had ever beaten one, I think, before, or something like that. And I think it's a great system like that. That's
Do you still wake up in cold sweats when he's put the hand up like that?
I do. I do. I mean, I was only 8 years old back then, but that is just for the Warriors to go over there and beat the elite, probably cheating Melbourne Storm team.
Para, when they went on their run,
Yeah.
When Para went on their run, they 8th and they beat the Dragons, who were first, and it just like those are the real like underdog stories. Like, yeah, you run the little bit of a risk of a potential blowout, but like you mentioned the Warriors Storm, that like the Para going after the Dragons, beating like this, just like that is a reason to get incredibly excited. And maybe even before, like you bring in 7v10, or 7v10, 8v9 for the possibility to like a proper.
Is that the wild card?
I would say that would be a way to get 10 teams into the playoffs, but 1 to 6 get the first week off.
Yeah.
7 plays 10.
That'd be
8
sick.
plays 9. You've got those 2 games straight knockout, and then you go into the McIntyre system after that.
Yeah.
Oh, but then whoever
Into the
wins that game,
McIntyre.
Into the McIntyre.
Huge.
I think
Mate,
so.
that's just another. I think that's just another week for more injuries in that team for 7 and 8th, and then when the 10th team comes through, they're just going to get 50-0'd by Penrith. Like,
Yeah, well,
like,
yeah. I get what you're saying.
yeah.
Unless we get a Leicester City.
Do you
Someone
find?
goes from 10th to 1st.
Did you find in your playing career having a week off during the finals? Do you reckon that puts you at an advantage or a disadvantage, that you kind of have a momentum drop, sort of, if you ever had a week off during the finals?
I actually can't remember, but definitely it's advantage.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I think looking back at last year's finals, that the most pivotal moment for Brisbane winning the comp was rescuing that game in Canberra.
Yep.
Give them the week off. Penrith had travelled. They beat they did travel to New Zealand. Won comfortably, but yeah, they just, bizarre to say it, but they ran out of gas.
Yep.
They ran out of petrol. Fresh is best. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Just quickly on the 20 teams come into the comp. Is there an appetite there for conference system? I imagine it would be almost a Sydney conference and a rest of Australia and New Zealand. Or is that then completely unfair?
You'd have to bring in a Christchurch team. for
Yeah.
Sure.
Well,
Then you kind of go Pacific, potentially.
But then every other team, Sydney sides wouldn't have to travel.
Yeah, it is true.
Or maybe be 4 or 5 trips a year, if that.
No, I reckon keep it how it is at the moment.
Keep it how it is.
I think
Yeah.
So you get 20 teams and everybody plays each other once? Which
I
would be
would
19.
take a 20-round season and a wild card, rather than that. That'd be the only reason I'd want the wild card. I wouldn't want 26 rounds and then another game of a wild card in between. That just takes the season way too long.
Yeah, I don't think they'll look at cutting the season at all though. I know that for the rights and stuff, and Peter Verlander, he wants as much rugby league going around. So I can't see them cutting the system down, but maybe they just do. You play everyone once, and then a lottery system to see who you play the other.
Or you focus on the big rivals.
The big rivalries,
Yeah,
like
so
Roosters, Rabbitohs twice.
Yeah.
It'll be
Cowboys, Broncos
Sharks
twice.
who end up playing the worst team in those 4 sides somehow. But yeah.
You're trying to say that the draw's rigged for the Sharks?
Oh man, I don't know. It seems like they always end up playing these lemons twice a year. You guys playing the Sharks a couple of times?
Oh, mate. Just,
right,
you know what?
all
We'll
right.
be talking about the Wars much more on the buy round when they crash down to earth and lost.
Thank God we're not
Newcastle.
doing beers on this podcast, otherwise, mate, you'd be in trouble.
I'm enjoying it while I can.
Nah, lap it up, mate. Lap it up. I wish I was in your position.
All right. Well, Tommy, Nath, Joel, thank you so much for joining us on the Fan Roundtable. It's been great to chat something positive, the game in general, and obviously the current situation. We wish you all the very best all season, and looking forward to Thursday night on that hill. We're going to be there for Triple M. It's going to be
awesome.
quite the atmosphere.
Oh, yeah.
Could I just add something quickly? I just wanted to finish on an optimistic note because it's been a bit of a pessimistic from my point of view on Manly. But I think when you're looking at change, and I think the Peninsula just wants change, because the Peninsula loves the club and just wants the best for the club. But I think we have seen some positive signs of change with Jason King coming in, Kieran Foran coming back to the club, which is just awesome, and signing Fogarty, which was great and aged like a fine wine when they won the minor premiership. So there are signs of change. Maybe we just need to be a bit more patient to see that on a game to game level. But I think there's still hope for us yet. but maybe some more changes necessary. And I just wanted to finish on a nice, optimistic note. Go Manly. Manly 13 plus.
Well, hang on.
He's just going to clip that part up.
I was just going to say that's a bit too measured. So if we could just cut that last little
that
bit
was
in
way
there.
too long.
Leave that out. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you soon.